Well, our next guest today dives into the heart of imagination and innovation in his new book, To Invent is Divine, Creativity and Ownership. Well, we'd like to welcome Dr. Jim Edwards Jr. and how he explores a spark of invention, where ideas come from and how they shape the world. So glad to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great premise for a book. It's funny that I should learn about this because I just spent some time recently with someone who's just sort of this consummate inventor, and there's just always these sparks of ideas and actually putting them into action. What was your inspiration for writing this book?
Well, I do this as patents, invention, those kinds of public policies for my living, and so I was asked to give a speech about invention and patents from a biblical perspective. So that was a new challenge. I generally applied my Christian beliefs to my work. But
how do you do that? I wouldn't have necessarily put the two together.
Well, I started digging in, and I mean, it starts on page 1, verse 1 of Genesis.
Well, true.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So that set the way, and throughout, I mean, it's all about God's creativity and God's claiming ownership of what He creates.
Fascinating.
And I mean, it's from cover to cover. It's those themes and the connection of the two is also important. It occurred to me. So that's where it began. And I just went through, gave this speech, and it wasn't at a small church. It was First Baptist Dallas at one of their Sunday evening classes. But still, I mean, there were 80 or 90 people at the Sunday evening class. So it went over well.
So tell me about your day job. So you say that this is something that you are sort of immersed in all the time. In what capacity?
I'm a federal public policy geek, and so I do lobbying, I do advocacy, I do coalition work, those sorts of things in the area of patent and intellectual property policy.
Kind of a natural subject then to dive into.
Yes.
So would you say that giving that talk to the church, that sort of sparked the idea to really put those two things together and put them on pages for people to read?
Yes, it did so because I told a friend when I got back to Washington that it had gone well. I said the word patent many times in the speech, and nobody fell asleep.
Yeah. That's important.
And so he suggested, why don't you turn the speech into a book? So it was really a friend's idea to do that.
And I do love the cover. This is quite beautiful.
Thank you.
So To Invent is Divine. Now, what would you say is something that stops people? Because a lot of us, we come up with ideas and then we stop very short of actually putting them into practice or, making something of it. So what is it you think that drives one person to believe so deeply in their invention and to go forth and get the patent or the trademark and to get it into market versus someone who just comes up with the idea and then that's it?
Well, I'd say for the latter, it's those who are less interested in doing it in a serious way. It's kind of a hobby or a sideline. Whereas for those who pursue it to secure the intellectual property around it and then to try to commercialize it, I mean, that is solely due to the ownership side of the equation.
Well, what do you hope that people take away from this book?
I want them to kind of be restored in terms of recognizing their abilities to create, whether it's as a grower, like people at the tea farm who are doing agronomy and those sorts of creative efforts, those who are in MUSC and engineering and designing medical devices or other new drugs and so forth. I want people to kind of come to their own ability and the human flourishing that comes with that will benefit them.
Yeah, and as a local author, you do have a Charlestonian connection in the book.
Yes.
You want to tell us briefly what that is?
Yeah, there are a couple. One is Charles Pinckney. Charles Pinckney, one of our signers of the Constitution, he worked closely with James Madison. Now, the Constitutional Convention was a lot of controversial areas to be ironed out and all that. But one thing that wasn't controversial, and it came up toward the very end before they put it all together, but Pinckney and Madison were the ones who put forward the idea, suggested, let's have this an intellectual property clause in there.
Oh,
so
interesting.
patents and
Okay.
copyrights.
Yeah.
And so that's how we got Article 1, Section
Wow.
8, Clause 8 of the Constitution. And that is the only instance in the entire Constitution where an individual right
Oh,
is
that's
mentioned.
well, I learn something new every single day. That's why I love what I do. Well, that's fantastic. Well, you are having a book signing tomorrow, Saturday, September 12th, from 11 to 2 p.m. That's going to be at the Barnes & Noble at Town Center in Mount Pleasant. Jim, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on the
Layla.
new book. We'll be back in 2 minutes.